If you've ever wondered whether a guy is really into you or just being nice, there are a few subtle, almost sneaky things he does that give it away. And I'm not talking about flowers, good morning texts, or big romantic gestures. I'm talking about quiet little psychological tricks he uses without even realizing it, because he's already emotionally hooked. Once you spot these signs, you'll never second guess his feelings again. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for when a man is crazy about you, even if he's trying to hide it. Do you ever notice how sometimes a guy starts acting a little too much like you? Maybe you're telling a story and suddenly he's nodding at all the same beats you are, using the same slang you use or laughing the way you do. It might seem like a coincidence at first, but it's not. When a man is genuinely into you, when he's emotionally invested and even a little obsessed in that romantic way, he starts to subconsciously mirror your behavior. And here's the crazy part, it's not something he's even aware he's doing. It's like his brain is trying to get closer to you, to feel more connected, to live in your world a little bit more. You might be sitting across from him at a coffee shop and you reach for your cup. A second later, he does the same. You cross your legs, and out of nowhere, he shifts his posture too. You mention how much you love a particular kind of music, and within a week, he's suddenly adding that artist to his playlist, or dropping references like he's been listening for years. These little things seem small, but they're powerful, because what he's doing is unconsciously signaling, I like you. I want to be close to you. I want to understand you. It goes even deeper than just copying physical movements. It seeps into how he talks. If you're someone who gets really animated when you speak, you might notice him becoming more expressive too. If you're calm and measured, suddenly he's slowing down, speaking more thoughtfully. You can tell he's tuning in, like really tuning in. His responses start to feel more in rhythm with yours, like he's dancing to the same internal beat you are. Now here's the kicker, he's not doing this to manipulate you. This isn't about tactics or pickup lines or some kind of game. It's human nature. Psychologists call it mirroring, and it's one of the strongest nonverbal signals of deep interest. When we feel emotionally drawn to someone, our brains go into connection mode. We want to feel aligned, like we're on the same page, even if we don't consciously realize it. But here's what's even more interesting. The more a man mirrors you, the more you start to feel connected to him. That's because we instinctively trust people who are like us. So when he matches your tone, your pace, your energy, something inside you starts to relax. It starts to feel easy, familiar, safe, and that's no accident. That's chemistry in real time. It's the unspoken language of attraction. Now, not every guy will do this in the same way. Some men are more expressive, others more reserved, but if you look closely, really pay attention, you'll start to see the signs. He might lean in just when you do. He might use the same phrase you said yesterday like it's his new favorite saying. He might laugh at the same kind of humor you do, even if that wasn't really his thing before. That's not fake, that's connection showing up in behavior. And once you start noticing it, you can't unsee it. You'll begin to realize that those little shifts, the way he adapts, the way he reflects parts of you back to yourself, are his way of saying, you matter, I'm listening, I'm here, even if the words never leave his mouth. Let's talk about something that happens when a man is really into you, but he's not quite sure where he stands with you yet. It's subtle, it's almost sneaky, and most of the time you won't even realize it's happening. He'll create these little moments, tiny sparks of jealousy, not to hurt you, not to play games, but to test the waters, to see how much you really care. And it's not about being toxic or manipulative. It's more like emotional curiosity. When a guy is genuinely crazy about you, sometimes he gets a little insecure. He starts wondering if you're just being friendly or if you're feeling what he's feeling. And instead of coming out and asking, because let's be honest, vulnerability is scary, he'll set up situations that give him answers without risking too much. Maybe he casually mentions another girl. Not in a braggy way, but just enough to get a reaction like, oh yeah, my friend Sarah said the same thing the other day. And then he watches you. Not your words necessarily, but your body language. Do your eyes narrow just a little? Do you change the subject faster than usual? Do you go quiet for a beat? He notices that. He's not looking for drama. He's looking for signs. He's asking himself, does she care if someone else is around me? Does she see me as hers yet? Sometimes it's even more subtle. Maybe he waits a little longer to text back. Not to punish you. He's just checking. Will you double text? Will you sing a little off the next time you talk? Will you sound more distant? Or maybe even a little annoyed? That reaction tells him something. It gives him clues about your investment. Because when a guy is fully in, when he's emotionally spun up about you, he becomes hyper aware of how close or far you seem. So he pokes a little, not to push you away, but to feel out how strong the thread is between you. And yeah, he might go out of his way to mention something he knows will catch your attention, like someone complimented him or he ran into an ex. He drops it casually like it's no big deal, but it is. It's a breadcrumb. He's watching to see if it lands, if it shifts your energy, if it gets under your skin, just enough to show that what you have with him means something, that you're not just playing it cool on the outside, but that there's something real bubbling underneath. It doesn't mean he's playing with your emotions. In fact, it often means his are running deeper than he knows how to handle. He's trying to get clarity without asking for it directly. And sure, sometimes it comes off a little immature, but most of the time it's coming from a place of genuine fear. Fear of being more into you than you are into him. Fear of being vulnerable first, so instead of putting his heart on the line, he tosses out a tiny spark and waits to see if it catches fire. And here's the thing, he's not looking for you to freak out or get jealous in some dramatic way. He's just looking for a shift, a flicker, a cue that he's not alone in this. That if he steps forward emotionally, you won't be the one stepping back. It's a quiet kind of test, but it means everything to him. Because when a guy is crazy about you, he needs to feel safe too, even if he won't admit it out loud. Do you ever notice how some guys act all chill on the surface, like nothing ever bothers them? They give off that cool, collected vibe, almost like they're too busy to really care. But then they somehow know everything that's going on in your life. They remember the tiniest detail from a story you told 2 weeks ago. They check in at the exact moment you need someone to talk to. They're not blowing up your phone, but they're there, always. Watching from just enough distance to keep their cool, but close enough to make sure no one else gets too close. That's the thing about a guy who's crazy about you. He plays it cool, but checks in constantly. And it's not random, it's intentional, even if he doesn't realize he's doing it. He wants to stay on your mind without being too obvious. So he sends that just thinking about you message, but he frames it like it was an afterthought. He reacts to your Instagram story but doesn't slide into your DMs. He brings up something you mention in passing, like your job interview, or that annoying co-worker, but pretends like it just popped into his head. No big deal, right? Except it is. Because here's what's really going on. He's trying to balance two big feelings. His deep interest in you and his fear of coming on too strong. He doesn't want to scare you off. He doesn't want to seem needy or desperate. So he tones it down. He puts effort into looking effortless, but underneath all that, his mind is constantly spinning around you. What you're doing, how you're feeling, whether you're thinking about him too, and it shows in the little ways. Maybe he asks how your day was, but he already knows you had that big meeting. Maybe he likes a tweet that's 3 hours old but didn't comment. Maybe he randomly shows up at the same event or place you mentioned going to. You might think it's all just coincidence, but it's not. He's tracking, quietly, carefully. He wants to be present without making it obvious that he's hooked. The funny part is, sometimes he'll even act distracted or distant just to see how you react. Like if he pulls back a little, will you reach out? Will you notice the shift? That gives him clues. It tells him how emotionally connected you are. And even though he's trying to act like he's cool with however things go, the truth is, he's not. He wants to know you miss him. He wants to know he matters. But again, pride, ego, fear. So instead of just saying that, he plays it like he's unbothered. But then, there he is again. Texting you out of nowhere with something random but thoughtful. Checking in just because. Sending that meme that only you two would find funny. That's not a guy who's detached. That's a guy who's emotionally glued to you, but doesn't want to risk being too obvious about it. And it's tricky, because you might wonder, does he care or not? One minute he's all in, the next he's pulling back. But that's exactly the giveaway. The back and forth, the almost calculated presence, the way he always seems to pop up just before you forget about him. That's the psychology of someone who's trying to stay close without getting hurt. He's walking a tightrope between desire and self-protection, and if you pay attention, you'll see it's not the words he says, it's how he stays tethered to your world, even when he pretends he's floating somewhere else. When a guy's really into you, like genuinely emotionally invested, something strange starts to happen. He begins to over-explain things, not just once or twice, constantly. You ask him a simple question like, hey, what happened to you yesterday? And instead of a quick, oh, I was busy, he launches into this detailed timeline of his entire day. Like, well, I had to take my car to the shop, and then my boss called me into this last-minute meeting, and after that, I had to run and help my sister pick something up, and by the time I got home, it was already late, and I figured you'd be asleep. And you're sitting there thinking, whoa, I didn't need all that. But actually, you did. Or at least he thinks you did. See, when a man's heart is involved, he becomes hyper-aware of how his actions might be interpreted. He's not just explaining himself, he's trying to protect the connection. He's afraid of you feeling ignored or thinking he's losing interest. Even if you didn't say anything to suggest that. He's already playing out that possibility in his head. Because when a guy's really into you, the last thing he wants is for you to feel like you're being sidelined. This kind of behavior usually shows up the most when he's not able to be as present as he wants to be. Maybe he's had a long day, maybe he missed a call, or maybe he didn't reply to a text right away. And deep down, he's worried you noticed. So what does he do? He starts filling in the gaps. He gives you all the reasons why, even if you weren't upset. It's like he's trying to close every loophole before doubt can slip through, not because he thinks you're unreasonable, but because he cares that much about how he's showing up in your life. And it's not just when something goes wrong. You'll notice it in the way he talks about other women too. If a girl from work texts him, he'll tell you immediately and then explain exactly what it was about, what time she sent it, how he responded, and even why it's nothing to worry about. You never even asked, but he wants you to know he sees you, that he's loyal, that he's thinking ahead. In his mind, this isn't over-explaining, it's preemptive reassurance. It even shows up when he talks about his emotions. He might say things like, I wasn't ignoring you, I just get quiet when I'm stressed. It's not about you. I should have told you. I just didn't want to dump all that on you. And I didn't know how to say it without making it worse. It's a stream of thoughts he probably rehearsed in his head before saying them out loud. Because again, he's not just giving you information, he's trying to protect how you feel. And what's wild is that this behavior usually flies under the radar. Some people might think he's just talkative or anxious, but when you really zoom in, you realize this is a guy who's putting effort into managing your perception of him. He wants you to feel safe, to trust him, to stay interested. So he over-explains not because he has something to hide, but because he doesn't. And he's terrified that one small misunderstanding might undo everything he's trying to build with you. That's the mind of someone who's not just into you, he's already emotionally invested. And he's trying to guard that connection like it's the most valuable thing he's got. When a man is falling hard for you, there's this one thing he starts doing that can feel both exciting and confusing at the same time. He begins to slip little pieces of the future into your conversations. Not in some grand dramatic, let's get married and have 3 kids kind of way, but in subtle, almost throwaway comments that are way more intentional than they seem. It's like he's testing the idea of you and him, not just now, but later. And the way he does it? Smooth, casual, like it's not a big deal at all. But trust me, to him, it is. Maybe you're talking about travel, and out of nowhere he says something like, we should go there someday. That word, we, might seem like a slip of the tongue, but it's not. It's a soft launch of the idea of you two together in a different time and space. And then he watches. He listens to your reaction. Do you laugh and roll with it? Do you change the subject? Do your eyes light up just a little? That reaction tells him everything he wants to know. Sometimes it's about plans way down the road, and sometimes it's something small, like, you'd love this place. Next time I go, you're coming with me. Or, I could see us doing something like that on a weekend. He says it like he's just making conversation. But really, he's planting seeds. He's trying to see if you water them, if you pick up the vibe. Because for a guy who's emotionally invested, imagining a future with you isn't just a fantasy. It's a measure of how serious he's feeling. You might notice it in the way he talks about traditions too. Like he'll say, every Christmas my family does this thing. You'd probably find it weird. That you isn't random. He's mentally picturing you being there. He might not even realize he said it, but a part of his brain already sees you fitting into that space in his life. And it goes both ways. If you mention something you love doing, like a favorite festival, a family event, or even a tradition with friends, he'll find a way to insert himself in that vision. Not aggressively, not in a way that demands space, but in a way that suggests, if I was in your life long term, I'd want to be part of that too. What makes this so fascinating is that it's never framed as commitment. It's all hints and hypotheticals. That's the safety net. If you're not feeling the same way, he can pull it back and say, oh, I was just joking. But if you lean in, if you start saying things like that actually sounds fun, or yeah, I could see us doing that, then you've just given him a green light. That tells him he's not alone in how he's feeling. And it's not always about romance either. Sometimes it's practical stuff like asking your opinion on where to live, what kind of job he should take, what you think about kids, or how you feel about certain values. These aren't random questions. These are glimpses into whether your lives could align, whether your path could actually merge with his, not just in the short term, but in ways that actually matter. He wants to know what kind of person you are when it comes to real life, not just chemistry and laughs, but choices, beliefs, direction. So when he starts bringing the future into the present, even in the smallest ways, pay attention. He's not just making conversation. He's imagining life with you and trying to find out if you're imagining it too. When a man is truly into you, like fully emotionally invested, one of the clearest signs isn't in the big gestures or romantic words, it's in how deeply he listens. And not just the smile and nod kind of listening. No, this is different. This is the kind of listening where he remembers the tiniest details, things even you might have forgotten you said. He's not just hearing you, he's studying your world. He's collecting little pieces of who you are and storing them away like they matter, because to him, they do. You might casually mention that your favorite snack growing up was a certain kind of cereal. A week later, you walk into his kitchen and it's sitting there on the counter. You didn't ask for it. You didn't even realize he took note, but he did. Or maybe you told him once that you hate being interrupted when you're talking about something you're passionate about. And now, every time you speak, he lets you finish. He listens without jumping in, without shifting the spotlight. That's not by accident. That's awareness. That's intention. Even when you vent about something random, your job, your family, something that stressed you out, he doesn't brush it off. He might not have all the right advice, but he'll remember the names, the feelings, the little stuff. And later on, he'll circle back and say, "Hey, how did that thing go with your coworker?" And you'll sit there thinking, "Wait, I didn't even realize I told him about that." That's because while you were just releasing words, he was paying attention, not because he had to, because he wanted to. And here's the twist. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it shows up in how he adjusts his behavior around you. If you said you don't like people being late, suddenly he's early. If you mention a certain flower makes you feel calm, don't be surprised if one day you see it show up without him making a big deal about it. It's not for show, it's because he wants to show you that what matters to you matters to him. Guys who are casually dating don't operate like this. They listen just enough to keep the conversation going. But a man who's emotionally connected, he listens with a different level of focus. He hears things beneath the surface. Your tone, your silence, the words you don't say. If you're a little off one day, he won't ignore it. He'll check in. Not in a clingy way, but in a "I know you well enough to notice something's up" kind of way. And that kind of presence, it doesn't come from charm or skill, it comes from care. And you'll see it in the way he remembers timing too. He'll text you good luck before something important. He'll bring up a dream you said you had 3 months ago. He'll follow up on a random comment you made in the middle of a conversation that he never forgot. Because to him, every little piece of you is part of the bigger picture he's starting to fall for. It's not about being perfect. He might forget things here and there. But when a man is truly into you, his memory sharpens around you. He starts connecting dots, building emotional maps, learning how to support you better, not because he thinks he has to, but because he wants to be someone you feel seen by, someone who doesn't just hear the words you say, but really absorbs them, understands them, and shows you through small but meaningful actions that your voice is one of the most important things in his world. So when a man is truly crazy about you, he doesn't always say it outright, but his actions start to speak in ways he probably doesn't even realize. He creates little moments of jealousy just to see how you feel. He checks in constantly while pretending to play it cool. He over-explains the smallest things because he's terrified of being misunderstood. He brings up the future like it's no big deal. But every "we" and "someday" is him dreaming out loud. And above all, he listens, not just with his ears, but with his whole heart. These aren't just behaviors, these are emotional signals from a man who's deeply invested, navigating love with a mix of hope, fear, and vulnerability. And if you look closely, you'll see love isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers through the smallest things a man does when he's falling hard and hoping you feel the same.